Hey guys, what's going on? This is Panzer Dragon. Today, we're going to be doing an Evelynn guide. As you guys know, I'm one of the highest Evelynn Challenger players right now. The other would be Metaphor, but I guess he plays other champions as well, but I would like to spam Evelynn. Either way, I don't think there's an Evelynn main in NA who's actually in Challenger besides me and Metaphor. So, we're going to be doing a guide for you guys. Maybe you guys want to learn Evelynn. I'm definitely... this champion is my champion, you know? I want to share some of the things I know about her with you guys so you guys can also be efficient, super effective Evelynn players and get her permabanned in low elo or even platinum or even diamond. She's kind of permabanned, but she's not permabanned, but she's like getting there. A lot of people are seeing how powerful she is and disliking her a lot. Also, she's not even fun to play against because she could be anywhere. And yeah, I mean, I guess I'm going to teach you how to play Cancer. Also, this video will be edited and sponsored by Pro Guides. They have a premium subscription on their website that gives one-on-one coaching and guides with pro players. But with that being said, let's get started with her abilities. Alright, so let's talk about her passive, Demon Shade. As you guys know, when she hits level 6, she becomes stealth, perma-stealth. So when she's level 6, of course, she's gonna have a lot of map pressure because you don't really know where she is, and she could be anywhere. So super power spike at level 6. Second off, when she's below a certain amount of health, she restores hit point, which also has a 2.5 AP ratio, so that's why building full AP on her is absolutely really good. Also, secondly, if you didn't know, if you're being hit by champions or turrets, your passive, the Demon Shade, will actually reactivate in 1.5 seconds. If you haven't used an ability or basic attack, you know, you just got attacked by them, so you can go back into Demon Shade form if you didn't do anything and you just got poked a little or something. Also, did you know whenever you enter Demon Shade, you actually reset your E's cooldown? So even though your E is on an 8-second cooldown, it's actually kind of on a 4-second cooldown if you're not doing anything. So there's a little mechanic for you to outplay people if you need to. Next up, we're going to be talking about her Q. So in the early game, missing your Q is fine. You miss about 55 damage plus an AP ratio, but you probably don't have that much AP yet, so you're missing like 70 damage plus, I mean, you can auto them, I guess. Like level 1, it doesn't matter if you miss your dart, but you should still hit it. But once you put some points into it, you're going to be missing about 195 damage plus a 1.05 AP ratio if you do miss that dart at rank 5 of her Q. And then all you have left is your spikes, which itself has a 0.9 AP ratio, so in total her Q actually has a 1.95 AP ratio. God, that's a lot. But that is also why you build full AP. You don't go M-Pen like Morellonomicon, but you can go Stork Shoes, of course. That's what I do. And yeah, mid game, late game, make sure you're hitting this ability, otherwise you won't be able to one-shot people. Also, don't miss this on monsters. If you do, it's gonna be 8 seconds before you can use it again, but if you hit it, of course it's gonna be like 3 or 2. This is also the ability you max out first. Next up is gonna be Allure, her Charm, which also reduces magic resist coming from the enemy. So if you guys don't know, you cast it on someone, it starts to build up, and finally, once it builds up, you can charm them if you hit them with any ability or an auto attack. The thing is, your smite won't actually trigger this ability, so you can use smite on people if you have blue smite, and you can just run beside them if you need to. So that's also useful in some situations where they're kind of isolated and you can only catch them in front of you instead of like being behind them or flanking them, and you just have to be inside the circle where they can see you. If you don't use the charm, you can also get a slow. I never do that unless we absolutely need the slow and my team can follow up to kill that person. But if I don't have my charm, I probably can't like one-shot them or something. I never use this combo a lot, but if you do plan on doing it, you can charm him and then instantly activate your Q or something, and then hopefully the slow is enough to kill him. Also, if you do cast it on monsters, it does bonus damage and refunds your mana. This is the ability you max out second. Next up, let's talk about her E. So this, whenever you put points into it, goes up by 20 base damage. You're essentially going to be using the second part of the E, the Empowered E, most of the time. This E also applies on hit effects like Lichbane and Dark Harvest. And whenever you use it, you actually get 30% movement speed, so that's why Celerity was good on her, but we'll talk about that later. Essentially, this is a point and click skill you can kill people with. You can easily proc your charm, and also if you didn't know, her Empowered E actually does AoE damage, so other monsters will be hit by her E as well. And yeah, cool ability. Now for her ultimate, the finisher that teleports you back into safety. Also your escape tool if you need to. Essentially, it has a 1.5 AP ratio because you're only going to be using it when you need to finish off someone. So whenever someone's below 30% health, you'll see a mark on them and then you can ult. If you're team fighting and they're not isolated, you might have to use it preemptively, because if they aren't isolated, their team may peel for that target and CC you. But yeah, essentially it's your out of jail free card. This ability is why it's super hard to deal with her if you catch her. Well, it's gonna be also hard to catch her because she's stealth. And if you do, she can teleport away with her ultimate, so you have to also deal with that. And yeah, if she does get away, she's just going to restore that hit point with her passive. So essentially dealing with Evelynn is super obnoxious because she can kill you, but you can't kill her. It's super hard to. But yeah, essentially use this skill to finish people off. You can also use it to gap close if they flash away from your charm, but if you're doing that, I wouldn't recommend it too much since you won't have an escape and you might put yourself in a bad situation. But if you know like what's going to go next, then of course you can do that in some scenarios. But yeah, very overpowered ultimate in my opinion, but it does have a long cooldown, so be careful about that. Okay, enough about skills, let's talk about item builds. So essentially with Evelynn, you kind of want to build full AP. You never really want to go defensive. I've tried going defensive before, but it just doesn't work out. Your job is to one-shot people, not to tank for your teammates. So that's why my usual item build is going to be Runic Echoes with the Blue Smite, Sork Shoes, and then Spellbinder, and then Rabadon's Death Cap. After that, if you need more damage, you can go Lichbane. I wouldn't recommend it because you have so much. You can go like Void Staff, or if you actually really need defensive items, you can go Banshees and Zhonya's. Like essentially you need Spellbinder and a Rabadon's Death Cap, but after that, everything is situational. I've tried even going Rylai's like first item after Runic Echoes, no. I've gone Banshees and Zhonya's, no. Only time I'll do that is if they're like full AP or full physical damage, but most of the time you definitely want to go full AP. Mercs and Ninja Tabi are super situational, but most of the time Sork Shoes is the best because it's really good with your W, as your W gives you a free Void Staff. So build pretty simple, but you can even go Morello Nomicon after Death Cap and Spellbinder if you want more damage. For runes, I usually go this page. So you may be wondering, why do I go Dark Harvest instead of Electrocute? As you guys know, Electrocute has been nerfed, but Dark Harvest has really good synergy with Evelynn because of her E. She can auto attack through that, and she also scales way better with Dark Harvest. She also kind of has a free Lichbane because of Dark Harvest, and you're gonna be surprised when you have like a bunch of stacks and you press Q and E and then they instantly die, and then you R and you're gonna be like, well, I guess I didn't have to R. Like Dark Harvest is really good, especially if you're popping off on Evelynn. It's like a free Magi stacks, and then you have sudden impact for her E. That's a dash / gap closer. You can go Zombie Ward, but I prefer Eyeball Collection because that gives you AP. Evelynn is also not really a ward killer, like she doesn't have Dustblade, she doesn't have any attack speed steroids to take out wards efficiently, so let your team do that. Also, never swap your trinket for a sweeper, always get the warding one or the blue one. Again, you don't want to take out wards, you don't care about wards, let your team do that. You have permastealth, so you're not worried. And then secondly, I go Relentless Hunter. The movement speed is really good for just stalking people or hunting people down. You can go Ultimate Hunter, but it's not an efficient rune, to be honest. I don't like it. As for the secondary tree, you go Absolute Focus and Water Walking. You don't go Celerity anymore because it has been hard nerfed, so just go Absolute Focus. Plus, it is really good in Evelynn. You're usually always full hit point when you're going into battle because of your passive, so good synergy right there. Skill order is QWE and then QQQ, WWW, and then yeah. Oh yeah, also on your first recall, try to buy a Dark Seal and then boots. You can also avoid the machete as long as possible. It is more efficient to get the Fiendish Codex, Dark Seal, but then after that, you gotta start working towards your Runic Echoes. Now next up, let's talk about combos. So whenever you're ganking somebody, what you want to do is, if you're level 6, then you're going to abuse her camouflage. Essentially what you want to do is you charm them, right? Stay out of the circle, and as your charm is about to lock in, try to time it with your Q so that they can't juke it or anything and have 0 reaction time to when the charm is about to lock in. Otherwise, when the charm activates, it shows which direction you're going to be coming from, so they can like counterplay and flash out, etc. But this way there's no counterplay, and they would have to have seen you beforehand, like a pink ward you were spotted by or something, to actually counterplay against you. Like they need to know where you're coming from, essentially. But if they don't, then it's really easy kills, and you should always get your charm off. If you are pre-6, I mean, they'll know where you're coming from, so it can be a little hard to like actually kill them because they might just flash your Q or whatever. But if you actually want an ensured kill, as the charm is locking in, you can actually just flash E and you'll force their flash, but they will still be charmed. So if your laner does have the follow up, they'll probably still die. This combo will ensure you always a charm, so after you charm them, you can actually Q right after to ensure that your dart will be hitting. So you can do like W, Stalking Smite, then E, and then land your Q since they'll be CC'd, and then you can R to execute them if you need to. If your damage is high enough and you can actually one-shot them with just Q and E, then you can do that by just stalking them and seeing how their movements, and the goal is obviously to land your Q and E to one-shot them. If you don't have your ultimate, the safer choice is to obviously don't do aggressive things without your ultimate, because that's your escape, that's your also execute button, and I prefer when I don't have my ultimate to actually just farm my jungle or play really back and do safe, reliable plays. Here's another tip. When you're doing jungle camps, I have a big tip for clearing camps. So essentially, when you walk up to a camp, you have all three abilities, you go Q and then E. After that, you charm it, but what you want to do is wait 4 seconds so you have an empowered E, and then you're going to do 2 empowered E's in one go. Most people will just charm the camp and then wait the 2 seconds till it locks in, and then to do Q and E. But if you're waiting for your charm to lock in, you might as well wait until you get your passive back so your E comes off cooldown again. And that's why this is more efficient when you're level 3. In the early game of Evelynn, you kind of want to farm. That's what I like doing, is just farming until I'm 6. It's really efficient. It's a really safe play. And you know, Evelynn in this meta where a lot of people can duel her pre-6, not pretty good. So walking into the river blind into like a Xin Zhao or a Camille, even a Talia, not that good. Or walking into Kindred, Graves, Lee Sin, you know, you don't want to walk in the river. You don't want to even 2v2. Evelynn is really weak in early game, so just avoid bad fights. Obviously, if you're level 3, you can go for a gank, and it actually should work most of the time because you'll blow a flash. The charm CC is too much of a threat. But obviously, if you get cut out by yourself, Evelynn's really squishy, and she would rather not fight because after Q and E are down, you have nothing. So yeah, just try and get level 6. That's your goal. If you see a pre-gank level 6, go for it, but be careful about it. Once you're level 6, look for ganks, you know? If you got your ulti, you can execute people now. You have stealth, that's when you can go on gank sprees and just be anywhere on the map. Oh, and one thing I want to tell you is if you're beside a pink ward and you start fizzing out, that means you are seen, even if you don't have the pink eye on you. That shows you you're seen. But if you ever see this red fizzing thing on you, it means people can see you. That's another tip. But yeah, at level 6, just try and look for kills. If not, you can even do camps and farm them really fast because you're Evelynn. So like on the way to a gank, maybe you can farm a few camps, but you don't have to like perma gank, you know? You can balance farming and ganking since your clears are super fast and you can do them while walking. Once mid game and late game starts coming around, especially mid game when the first tower falls, your job is to look for people who are going for farm in side pushing lanes, isolated people, look for those free kills around the map. Like Evelynn is a pick assassin. Team fighting is still good, but like it's a little hard for her, you know? People are gonna peel for her. So essentially in team fights, your job is to go in, get your charm off, try and one-shot someone. If you can't, if you know people are gonna go on you when you go in, just ult out right away. Your ult damage, even if you're not executing, is still good and you can still do AoE damage, and then your team should be able to clean up because they're also focused on trying to kill you. So you got your damage off and you distracted them long enough that your team can collapse on them pretty well. And then after you do that, you just go in cloak mode and try and find someone who's isolated and like randomly running around the team fight to see if you can get, you know, that pick. It's better to be invisible and having that threat so the enemy has to like stay grouped up or like recall instantly, otherwise you'll pick them off. But yeah, mid game, after the first tower's down, you have the ability to one-shot anyone, so use that pressure to go around the map and try and find someone. If you're really fed, you don't even need your R. All you have to do is land your Q and E. This champion after early game is insanely powerful and what you could call her broken, because there's like almost no counterplay when you're squishy or whatever, as you'll probably just die. Secondly, in team fights, you can also target the tank because you shred MR, so you'll actually be able to like even one-shot those tanks or maybe bring them down to 50%, which is really good if they're diving into your teammates. So she's kind of good in all scenarios, all team comps. A big tip into the Camille matchup is Camille is considered kind of a counter to her because, you know, if she R's onto you, you can't get away. But here's the thing, you actually have a time window where when she starts casting her R, you can actually R out and you actually have to. Otherwise, you're just trapped in there for 4 seconds and you can die. But yeah, since you're untargetable, your R will actually go off before her R, so that's pretty good. Also, if you're going for Baron steals, anything like that, remember your R has a really good execute, so you have like a 1500 smite, so it's easy to just flash in the pit and use your R and smite to steal the Baron. The only problems I've kind of ever ran into Evelyn with is if the enemy starts grouping as 5 and start getting Baron control and forcing things. Evelyn, she really likes it when people are split pushing and being isolated, but if the enemy starts grouping, it can be good if you have split pushers to like distract the enemy from doing anything, but it's also very hard to find that flank on the squishy target or whoever, and you'll just have to wait until you see the right moment to kill everyone. But if the enemy is covering the flanks of the enemy squishy, then it's very hard to get onto him. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and this guide. I hope you guys learned a lot, and yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.